At nearly 30,000 verses, the text known as the Yoga Vāsiṣṭha is immense. It easily dwarfs epic poems like the Ramayana in sheer physical scale. For centuries, scholars and monks have revered it as a static, monolithic pillar of orthodox Advaita Vedanta philosophy. Its prestige reached across the Indian subcontinent. By the late 16th century, the Mughal courts commissioned a Persian translation for their own study, known as the Yoga Vāsiṣṭha. To the outside world, the legacy of the Yoga Vāsiṣṭha appeared settled, a universally accepted masterpiece. But modern philologists have uncovered a different reality. The Yoga Vāsiṣṭha is not an original work. It is a heavily modified redaction. Hidden beneath those modifications is the true core text, originally titled the Mokṣopāya. To understand the author's original intent, scholars have stripped away centuries of later interpolations and translations. Tracing these additions backward leads away from pan-Indian orthodoxy. You move past the 16th century, past the 14th, and land in a highly specific intellectual window. Recovering the Mokṣopāya requires abandoning the myth of a static text and treating the manuscript instead as the subject of a medieval forensic investigation. That investigation begins around 950 CE in the secluded, high-altitude valleys of Kashmir. Researchers trace the text composition precisely to Pradyumna Hill in modern-day Srinagar. At this time, Kashmir was an intellectual crucible. Buddhist monastic traditions, regional Shaiva philosophies, and Brahmanical orthodoxy were actively colliding in an isolated environment. Out of this environment emerged the Mokṣopāya, literally translated as the means to liberation. Yet the identity of its author remains a complete mystery. The anonymity of the text has prompted modern scholars, like Tamara Cohen, to question long-held assumptions, including the gender of the author. This text intentionally transgresses strict Brahmanical boundaries of caste and gender. Combined with the historical reality of powerful female figures ruling medieval Kashmir, a female authorship becomes a viable historical possibility. Whoever the author was, they were working deliberately outside accepted norms. A radical departure from orthodox tradition requires a level of anonymity that a conformist text does not. But how do historians accurately date a massive, anonymous text from medieval India? The manuscript provides its own internal anchor. It contains a narrative prophecy explicitly naming Kashmiri King Yaśaskaradeva, ruling from 939 to 948 CE. External historical records confirm its early prestige. The 11th century polymath Kshemendra cited it, and later chroniclers like Jonarada and Shrivara specifically referenced it in their accounts. These interlocking internal and external proofs lock the birth of the Mokṣopāya firmly into a highly charged mid-10th century window. The original physical medium of the text was fragile birch-bark, written in the regional Kashmiri Śāradā script. As the text physically migrated out of the Kashmir Valley and across the Indian subcontinent, its original name began to fade. Between the 11th and 14th centuries, the text underwent a period of heavy redaction. Scholars like Abhinanda created highly abridged summaries, known as Laghu versions. Subsequent generations then expanded these summaries. They forcefully Vedānticized the text, aligning its independent philosophy with orthodox Brahmanical views. The ultimate consequence was a complete identity replacement. The fiercely independent Mokṣopāya was buried beneath a new metonymic title, the Yoga Vāsiṣṭha. Resurrecting the original text has been the work of modern scholars like Walter Slaje, Jürgen Haneder, and the Mokṣopāya project team in Germany. They led a painstaking physical hunt across archives in Srinagar and Delhi, searching for the oldest surviving birch-bark folios. Within the oldest Śāradā manuscripts, the team found the name Mokṣopāya used repeatedly as the author's own title, a designation that predates the Vedantic framing found in later versions. In this raw state, the text refers to itself as a Sarva Siddhanta Siddhanta, a definitive, all-encompassing philosophical stance that fits into no single known tradition. Restoring this original identity reveals a school of human thought that had been obscured for centuries. This great redaction theory has sparked intense academic debate, drawing counter-arguments from Indian philologists like T.G. Mankar. Mankar argues against the idea of a coordinated sectarian conspiracy. Instead, he proposes that the text evolved organically from a lost ancient Upanishad into its various textual branches. Despite these debates on the exact method of change, the consensus holds. The raw 10th century Mokṣopāya stands philosophically apart from the later Yoga Vāsiṣṭha Vulgate we know today. By separating the Mokṣopāya from its later revisions, scholars have recovered a philosophical system that stands on its own authority. Now that the layers of history have been stripped away, what exactly does the true text teach? In our next episode, we'll open the pages of the Mokṣopāya to explore its mind-bending physics, consciousness, and a participatory universe.